Hi, this is Wishop, and this is the January video for your 2019 first quarter forecast readings. So I'm doing readings of a bunch of different kinds, and these will be the Lenormand ones. We're going to do January, February, and March. Each one will be a separate video. All of the videos are in a playlist. You can just mix and match them as you see fit. I'm reading across this way, so I know I won't get double cards, but as we're reading here, because I'm reading multiple decks, I could get double cards, which is something that will apply in actually a lot of the videos. There's a potential for messages to double up. But anyway, let's see what January looks like, and I'll just kind of close up here. This is the retro Lenormand, obviously. This one is Pixies, Astounding, and this one is the Black Cat Lenormand. Okay, let me get focused. Let's see how we do. The Rider, the Dog, and the House. Okay, so I don't know if this is exactly focused. Sorry, I keep bumping my tripod too. Oh, there's just some stuff going on. Let's see how that is. I think that's a little better. Okay, so there is a lot of sort of house energy, which I think of as being the fourth house anyway. That's sort of astrologically speaking. We have the Rider, which is the card of news and movement, things which are coming in. It's actually in this particular deck sort of facing the other direction, and it's in what you might call the past position. And then we have the Dog facing forward, and I like this version of the Dog because it also has an impression of top dog. Like the Dog is a card that usually will mean friendship, companionship. So it can be a strong partner, a colleague. It's someone who is loyal to you, or it represents your loyalty, your attachment to someone else, someone who is trustworthy and comes through. And this is about your nearest and dearest. So because it's got the House, these are issues that have to do with the people closest to you. This has definitely been coming up in other readings in this section as well, that there are important relationships at play. Partnerships, could be best friendships, could be romantic relationships, but very important relationships and possibly new ones coming in. Because we have the Rider showing things sort of on the move, and this modifies that, you can have the idea that a friend is on the move. Now the friend, or the Dog, is facing this way. The colleague, companion, partner is facing this way. And in this particular card, the person painting the house is facing this way. So it actually creates this kind of relationship picture. And it's interesting because if I think of the top dog, and we have multiple dogs here, but this one is the top dog. So this is somebody who's taking an important position in your life. Some people will put the Dog in the 7th house, which is the house of partnerships as well. Some people will put it in the 11th house, which is like the house of organizations and social groups and friendships. Some people will put the Dog even in the house, the 3rd house, like of siblings and close colleagues. So you get the picture. It is a relationship card. It's a relationship of trust, of loyalty, and one that should be long-standing. And it looks to me as if there is some movement over who is the top dog. So the top dog in the house, so to speak. So if this is a work situation and you are the top dog, since this is a central card, I tend to think of this as having to do with you or with us. There's a changing of the top dog. So it could be that you have an increase in your position at work because circumstances have changed. There's been news coming in. This could be really with the writer, it can be all sorts of news and messages and events, but they tend to come in quickly, or they're transient in nature, right? So we get this month's earnings, but we're gonna get a new earnings report next month. So this news is swiftly going to be overwritten by a new set of news. Does that make sense? So it's the kind of news that comes in on a very regular, replacing itself kind of basis, or it's news that's coming in very fast. So where we've got this dog in the central position facing the house and the house facing the dog, it just looks to me like news or the churn of events or something like that is sort of changing, or maybe I would say declaring someone's position as the top dog. I mean, it could be that you were always the best dog, but it wasn't really being recognized. But now people in a close circle are going to recognize that, if that's you. This is actually something I've seen in other readings too. I'm really not trying to repeat the readings. I want them to each stand alone. So I'll keep trying to come up with new meanings for it. But this does somewhat reflect that idea of a circle of recognition that perhaps wasn't there before. Other ways it could be is that, let's talk about, you quickly get a new dog, right? It could be as mundane as that because Lenormand can be very literal. So you could be getting a new pet in your home, and that pet could be coming from far away. So, or could be coming quite suddenly. You didn't expect to be getting a pet, but you are. And so here it is. It could be the case that there is the house of a friend and a friend is moving house suddenly. That you have a friend who suddenly has to leave your side because there's a sudden move or a sudden change of circumstances. So if we're being real literal, it could be that as well. The house tends to be a secure card, but it could be because we have this action going this way that you're a little concerned about a change in a close relationship. It's changing form, it's changing shape. So this could also be the case in a relationship where friends are becoming lovers, or lovers are turning back to friends, or friends are becoming business partners. You know, if there were a change in that friend relationship so that the role was now different than what it has been, there could be some insecurity at first, some emotional questions about that, about how well that's going to work out. Will it still be a cordial relationship? And that's the kind of thing that you're probably going to do a certain amount of thinking about. This is really, the Rider tends to be a card that has to do with sort of upper chakra, mercurial type things. So I don't see a ton of heartache here, but I do see a certain amount of potential for anxiety, just because change itself can be sort of anxious making. And if you have dogs or no dogs, you know they sort of like their routines. And so the idea this routine is going to get upset. There'll be a change of routine in the home. Your tried and true, your faithful methods might need to change. And that could create some agitation, but I don't know, it doesn't look bad. I mean, the dog is such a positive card that even if there's news coming in, and let's say a friend is moving away from you, it seems as if that will be good news for that friend, and you might be able to be happy for them anyway, even though it might create some, a little bit of tension in the meanwhile. Or like I said, if you're getting a new pet, obviously if you have to housebreak the pet or change your schedule to now make sure that the pet has everything they need, or a friend who moves in with you, something like that, there's going to be a little bit of upset to the schedule and a need to roll with the punches a bit. So that's what I see in January. Hope you found it useful or interesting, or ideally both. Anyway, until the next one, rock on with your bad selves.